In this video, I'll show you my attempt to make naturally moving glow-in-the-dark butterflies. The wings of each butterfly is actuated by two high-torque servos and are coated with a glow-in-the-dark material. After burning through countless components, testing several different reflective foils and writing really bad code for the easing of the servos, I finally reached a result worth sharing. When the butterfly closes, an onboard LED strip charges the glow-in-the-dark material, making the butterflies clearly visible even after dark.
Hi, I'm Christopher and welcome to the lab. So, as you can see, it's very much fall around here at the moment. The thing is though that this summer I noticed that we get a lot less insects and butterflies in the woods close to me than what we used to. And I only have anecdotal evidence, but I remember when I was a kid I used to be getting insects in my eyes all the time when I was riding my bike. And I guess some of you may even remember this here thing as part of the modern condition. But it just doesn't really seem to happen so often anymore. And so it's not that I love getting insects in my eyes, it's just that since these insects and the butterflies, they're not really around anymore, I thought that I would just go ahead and make some myself.
I want to make a design that will be mostly 3D printed, mechanically as simple as possible and pretty organic looking. I found the easiest way to achieve what I wanted was to just offset the axis of rotation from two separately controlled motors. Now I need to somehow make a template of the full-sized wing profile, but since I don't have access to a large format printer, but do in fact own a really crappy projector, I realized that I can just project the wing onto a wall till it has the right proportions, mark it onto a piece of fiber sheet and cut it out on the bandsaw. So I wrapped up the CAD modeling and 3D printed most of the parts making up the head, body and wing brackets. For some reason my Ender 3 keeps leaking filament, which unfortunately affects the quality of the prints quite negatively. Luckily I possess the power of the cinema, so it's an easy fix. Or maybe not. After the fix I tried to forget that I still had a partly broken 3D printer and headed to the workshop. Now let's start making the wings. After many experiments, I know for a fact that there's a very specific order in which the wings have to be put together. I could explain to you all the details of gluing the wings together, but I'd rather say that foiling things is like therapy to me. It's the perfect balance between zen light concentration and frequent visual satisfaction. I think if I could, I would be foiling everything that I own. When done foiling, I need to attach the wings to the brackets with which I can connect them to the body of the butterfly. I drill the holes in the wings by using the brackets as templates for where to put them. The brackets and the wings are then riveted together by my absolute favorite tool. Now I realized that I have actually not really considered how to mount the butterfly themselves onto anything. So I quickly modified the CAD file to accommodate some kind of foot. I looked around the workshop and found a good looking piece of profile steel, then cut it, bended it, painted it, till I had a foot that would make it easy to screw the butterfly onto any surface. Assembling the whole butterfly takes a few steps. To make the servos fit into the head of the butterfly, you first have to unscrew the back piece of the servo. Then you just press the motors through the holes of the head and reattach the back piece. Then you have to place the part on which the foot of the butterfly is attached. You can now safely mount the wing brackets onto the shaft of each servo motor. At this point you're ready to install the body of the butterfly in which most of the electronics is located. Then you can mount the part that keeps the wings to the body as they move. In other words, it serves as a hinge for the wings. Finally you can put in the LED strip, which sits all the way from the head to the end bracket. Connect the wires to the PCB and you're good to go. So I successfully managed to release all the magical blue smoke from inside the servo. Yeah, good job. But after a few mistakes, I actually achieved a pretty organic looking control of the servos.
Whoa. Yes, man, det virker.
Okay, let's talk about the details. I think most of you will find it boring if I go into all the details related to this project, so here are the most important ones, according to me, because I decide. I think a cool thing about this project is the way the wings move. Imagine having 3 positions that your wings need to go to. If the servos are asked to go from position A to B and then from B to C, with a linear progression, it will look like this. Now, if the progression of the motion is controlled with a sine function and thus eased out of one position and into the next, it will look like this. In my opinion, way more natural looking. Another unique aspect about this project is the glow-in-the-dark material and the UV LED strip. And so if we take a look at one of the butterflies, we'll find that the strip sits just between the 2 wings, constituting some kind of spine. And this will be kept turned off until the wings are just about to close. And then when they're closed, it will turn on, and then it will excite the glow-in-the-dark material, leaving the wings glowing when it opens again. This could potentially be any colored LEDs. It just so happens that UV light has an especially strong effect on glow-in-the-dark material. The wings themselves consist of 3 different layers. On the inside I put the glow-in-the-dark foil. In the middle I put a black PVC sheet, and on the outside I put a silver-grey vinyl foil. Between the grey-silver layer and the PVC I place pieces of spring steel to keep the wings stiff, as well as allow them to bend organically when flapped. I think that if I was to make the wings again one day, I might just be using a stiffer type of plastic like PP and remove the PVC and the steel entirely. So this is the electronics. And basically I'm using an Arduino Nano to control both servos as well as fading up and down the LEDs. The whole thing looks a bit bulky because it was actually designed to accommodate a smaller step-down module than the one I'm using right now. One should think that by now I should have learned to not put too much trust in the empty promises of Chinese vendors. So I had to do some modifications. I was considering adding some kind of sensor to the system, but for now I decided to just run it in a more predictable way. Once again, I found all the stuff that we needed to install the butterflies in the wild. And so on a cold October evening, we drove to a nearby forest, walked deep into the woods and found a large mushy log on which we could mount all 4 butterflies. We waited till it got dark and got some really cool footage of the butterflies in their natural habitat.